Budapest in Hungary, the Hungaroring for 33 years, the home of the Hungarian Grand Prix. And for much of the last decade, it's also been a playground for world-class touring car racing. Gabriele Tarquini, our reigning champion, heads the entry list ahead of local hero Norbert Michelisz. He, with wildcard Tomasz Tenka and Attila Tassi, the three Hungarians in the field, will be cheered to the echo by the crowd here at the Hungaroring. 27 cars ready to take on the first Grand Prix circuit of the season. Well, hello everybody, welcome to a grey and overcast but still dry Hungaroring as the cars head out of the pit lane, ready for the start of the first race of the weekend. I'm Martin Haven, alongside me Richard Coleman. Richard, all sorts of weather forecasters forecasting dreadful conditions for later on this afternoon, but as of now it remains dry for our pole sitter Nestor Girolami. First pole position for him since China 2017, when he was a Polestar Cyan Racing Volvo driver.
Yeah, stunning lap from Girolami. You'd say that perhaps his teammate was slightly more fancied to take the pole, but he had a bit of a scrappy session lining up third. But yeah, Girolami did the right thing and got it up there on pole.
So here's how they line up. Girolami, first WTCR pole. Ivan Muller starts alongside him. Esteban Guerrieri, third for Munich Motorsport, so that's two Hondas in the top three. Top Cupra, Aurelian Panis, has been having a really good weekend so far. He's ahead of an all-blue row 3, Jan Erlaché, and Ted Björk. Ted, the winner of race 3 in Marrakesh. Johan Kristoffersen has finally found some speed from the Volkswagen Golfs. He's the best of the Golfs, ahead of the best of the Audis, Jean-Carl Vernet. Augusto Farfus is the best of the Hyundais in what was a crazy qualifying session with loads of track limit problems. Audi's Fredrik Vervish rounds out the top 10 ahead of newcomer Daniel Hegloff. In PWR Racing's Cupra, Mehdi Banani is 12th ahead of Norbert Michelisz and Gabriele Tarquini. Two very experienced drivers languishing, and they're not the only ones. Andy Prio down in 15th place. Mikel Ascona, we'll hear from him shortly, the young Spanish rookie, in 16th. Rob Huff, the 2012 world champion, in 17th ahead of local boy Attila Tassi. Kevin Chekon, the better of the Alpha drivers, in 19th ahead of Nicky Katzberg. Marcin Kwar's Alpha is 21st. Daniel Lankefeld is 22nd in his Audi. And still they come. Jago Montero 23rd. Gordon Shedden is 24th ahead of Benny Leuchter, Tom Coronel and our wildcard Tomasz Tenka. So on our 27-car grid, Nestor Girolami, the DHL pole sitter. Last time he claimed a pole position, September 2017. Now, one of our big stars last time out in Marrakesh was Mikel Ascona, the Spaniard, and he is wired for sound.
Hi guys, how are you? I'm Mikel Ascona, Cupra driver with PWR team here in the WTCR for my first year. This is amazing and this is a good opportunity for me. We started the season in Marrakech really good with a podium position, so was amazing for us. My first ever WTCR race. So it was amazing that. Now we are here at Hungaroring. Difficult weekend for us. We did this morning the qualification not as we like, but well, we are P15. We are learning a lot during all the weekend, and we will see tomorrow. For sure we are going to work this race and have good results tomorrow. And yes, we are here in the pre-grid of Hungaroring. And now we are going to, let's speak in Spanish. Hola chicos, ¿qué tal? Soy Mikel Ascona, piloto de Cupra Racing con PWR Racing Team. Tengo 22 años, es mi primera participación en el Mundial, así que estoy súper contento. El comienzo de año fue buenísimo en Marrakech. Hicimos un podium en el que fue, la verdad, que increíble. Mi primera carrera del Mundial, hacer un podium fue brutal. Así que esperemos seguir durante todo el año haciendo buenos resultados, como en Marrakech. Y bueno, estamos ahora en Hungría, en la preparrilla, a puntos de salir a la carrera. Salimos P15, la cual no ha sido muy buena para nosotros. Estamos todos los pilotos bastante juntos, 20 pilotos en un segundo, así que está todo muy difícil. Pero bueno, estamos aprendiendo muchísimo también. Mañana intentaremos mejorar respecto a hoy, seguro que sí. Así que nada, chicos, yo ahora me voy a concentrar para la carrera y espero que me animéis todos. Un saludo y muchos besos.
Finally, going to concentrate for the race. Sends lots of love to the family back home. That's the TCR Europe champion for 2018. TCR Europe with a 39-car field here on the supporting grid, but he is on the main race grid, starting in 16th this afternoon. Let's look at our top 10 then. Freddie Vervisch in the Come2 Racing Audi. Well, he was racing in the series last year as one of their 4-car lineup. This year, the Come2 Racing team, Richard Coleman, with 2 Audis, but they've got another 2 cars of a very different brand, all right, made in the same Seat Sport factory. But how do you think that's for the engineering team? Last year, they had 4 cars that were predominantly the same. This year, they've got to kind of split their thinking between the Audis and the Cupras that they're running as well.
Yeah, once they're trackside, Volkswagen Audi Group separate everything sort of church and state, really. So trackside, that doesn't really affect too much. But yeah, I'm quite impressed with Frederick Vervisch. He's had a strong start to the season. He was a little bit hot-headed last year, and he has been for a couple of years in touring cars. But yeah, really starting to get it together.
Augusto Farfus returns to touring cars. He came in as an Alfa Romeo driver well over a decade ago now into World Touring Car Championship racing, straight from single-seaters. And since racing the Alfas, he then converted to BMW's rear-wheel drive. He's been racing rear-wheel drive GT cars ever since. Like Andy Priaulx, another re-initiate, if you like, into the world of front-wheel drive. He professes to be struggling a little to find out how to get the best, particularly out of the tyre, which has got a fairly narrow operating window. And it's there where his rivals, like Jean-Carl Vernet here, have got much more relative recent experience of front-wheel drive, are finding life a little less tricky.
Yeah, Jean-Carl's been the standout Audi driver all of last year, and he seems to have picked up where he's left off, really. I think the others are a bit closer to him, but he's certainly the forward outlier in the Audi camp.
And he came in as the sort of benchmark man in the TCR machinery, didn't he? Because he was the International Series champion in 2017 when Ted Bjerg was the World Touring Car champion. And yeah, very much he's been the benchmark for anybody running Audis. So he will line up in 8th place. Johan Kristoffersson, former World Rallycross champion, and now back to touring car racing, or back to circuit racing. The Swede with the best qualifying run of a Golf, not just today actually, but in fact that we've seen all season pretty much, because he starts in 7th place and it's not a reverse grid. So there is at least some pace finally starting to bubble to the surface in the Sebastian Loeb Racing Golfs. Sweden's Johan Kristoffersson will line up in 7th place. The row in front of him, Richard Coleman, is all blue. It's cyan racing blue, in fact, because we got 2 of the Lincoln Co. 03s. In 6th place, Ted Bjerg, the 2017 World Touring Car Champion, and the first man to win an international race for the Chinese manufacturer. And alongside him is young teammate Jan Erlaché. So that's going to be an interesting little team struggle. He's our points leader, Ted, but he doesn't want to let his young teammates stay in front if he can avoid it.
He certainly doesn't, but I think they have a very good team culture between drivers at Silent amongst the Lincoln Co. cars. I think the sort of paddock view is that car is a little bit down on top-end speed, and therefore they've got to really make hay at circuits like this one in Hungary and the next one in Slovakia. So big points hauls are very important to them and their championship campaign to play to their strengths on circuits like this that should suit them.
Jan Helochet starting in 5th position, the 2015 French Super Tourism champion, or touring car champion. Nephew of Ivan Muller, who starts 3 spots ahead of him in 2nd place. Now, both of them, and of course Andy Priaulx, are trailing their own teammate, Ted Björk. So Björk, in one of the Cyan Racing cars, is leading the standings after Marrakesh. And again, in terms of their own personal challenge for the championship rather than for the manufacturer's title, they need to get closer to him, if not ahead of him, this weekend, because the longer you spend behind, ask Ivan Muller versus his Citroen teammate, the longer you spend behind, the less time there is for catching up.
Certainly is, but I think ever more so with this new format. It's all about how, you know, the days when you're having 0 scores as opposed to the days when you're perhaps winning races. You know, Ted Björk last year, he won, I think, 4 or 5 races and was still quite a way behind at the end of the championship season. And yeah, I mean, Ivan had a couple of non-scores in Marrakesh despite his speed. So I think so much of this series now is about consistency. I think if you're constantly in the sort of top 6 to 8, then you're going to be there or thereabouts towards the end of the season.
Well, consistently quick this weekend, one of the 2 yellow Cupras, that was Aurelian Panis, lines up in 4th place on the grid. He was constantly in among the top 3 times in both free practice sessions, just got squeezed out in qualifying from 3rd place by Esteban Guerrieri, who only got a 1 run together with 2 decent laps in it. Last year, 3rd place in the championship. This year, Munich Motorsport and the Hondas look to be even stronger. So he and his teammate Nesta Girolami are, it looks like they're going to be contenders all season long. Certainly they lack nothing in motivation, and right now they've come out of the blocks really well in Marrakesh.
Yeah, certainly have. They've got a little bit more power this year, and I think that addresses one of the deficiencies of last year's package. Obviously the drivers they've got are very experienced. I think Munich Motorsport sometimes not operationally at the very, very top level, but they seem to have sort of pulled their socks up on a few things coming into this season. Obviously a bit easier focusing on just the 2 cars.
Yeah, that definitely helps. Front row of the grid then, Ivan Muller, car number 100, 4-time World Touring Car Champion, 10-time Trofeo Andros Ice Racing Champion, raced like his sister up to Formula 3000 level, very nearly a Grand Prix driver as she get close to coming, but he's made such a career for himself in touring cars, and one of the real benchmarks in the touring car firmament. Guys like him and Andy Priaulx and our reigning champion Gabriele Tarquini are all seen as real benchmarks, but the man who starts on the DHL pole position is Nesta Girolami. His first pole since World Touring Car race in China in 2017 when he was on pole in the Cyan Racing Polestar Volvo. He won race 2. Last time Ivan Muller won was also in China, the man who starts alongside him, but that was last year in 2018. And interestingly, the last time that Nesta won a race at the world level in touring cars, he won race 2. The winner of race 1 that weekend in China, Esteban Guerrieri in a Honda. So both of them have winning history against each other, and who knows, potentially this weekend they might both end up on the top step of the podium. For the fans, though, there are 3 drivers they're going to follow. Tomasz Tenka, the wildcard, who starts in 27th. Attila Tassi, who was very quick in free practice, but only managed to stitch together a lap good enough for 18th in qualifying. And the man you just saw, Norbert Mikelic. Now, Norby's had a really up-and-down time racing at home. He's had a couple of wins. He's had more than a couple of heartbreaks, including last year. He had 2 pole positions, didn't win either race 1 or race 3 that he started from the DHL pole. He was the quickest man in qualifying, but he was one of the unluckiest men in the place. Not too many times you're on pole position does your car fail to get you to the grid on the green flag lap. And for Paul Norby, that was his fate last year. He's had all sorts of high drama race weekends here. And let's hope that this weekend is a little smoother. He starts in perhaps unlucky 13th place on the grid, but the advantage this year compared to last is that 13th is still among the points. Points go down to 15th position now in the FIA WTCR. Green flag waves at the head of the grid. Ivan Muller and Esteban Guerrieri move. Nesta Girolami is slow away, but the pole man is leading the field around here at the Hungaroring. Final car moving away from the grid. Tomasz Czenka for Zengo Motorsport. Zoltan Zengo's Hungarian team not running cars in the World Touring Car Championship for the first time in several years, or in the WTCR. But Richard, they've got a strong presence still in TCR Europe, and they run the wild card here. Well, let's take a look at our DHL pole sitter. Nesta Girolami ahead of Ivan Muller, Esteban Guerrieri and Aurelien Panis. Then Jan Elesche and teammate Ted Björk ahead of Johan Kristoffersen and John Calverne, respectively the top qualifiers for VW and for Audi, ahead of Augusto Farfus, the best of the Hyundais on the grid, in 8th. Mehdi Benani in his Volkswagen is down in 12th position. Gabriele Tarquini, last year's champion, in 14th. Rob Huff, the 2012 champion, 17th. And look at the big names outside the points. Katzberg, Marcin Kła, Thiago Montero, Gordon Shedden, Tom Coronel in 26th position out of 27 cars. It's not been an easy qualifying for some of our drivers. So cars on the final formation lap. And without tyre warmers and having sat on the grid, it's really important now, Richard, to try and get some temperature into the tyres and the brakes to survive the charge downhill into first corner here.
It's very difficult now. These guys don't have tyre warmers, which used to be permitted in the regulations. So yeah, what the driver is doing on this lap comes much more into play in terms of just trying to get the right amount of energy into those tyres and to achieve the target pressures for the start of this race. Obviously also brakes, wanting to have the brakes at operating temperature. You don't want them too hot, you don't want them too cold. You don't want to be locking up a brake into that all-important turn 1. So yeah, there's a lot for the drivers to do. It looks like it's just a creep round to the grid, but I can assure you there's lots going on.
2 points in this season so far for Aurelien Panis out of 3 races in Marrakesh. He starts in 4th place on the grid. This could be a big weekend for the young Frenchman in his Cupra, and he needs the confidence that would inspire to really bring some performance out of him. Onboard view of Norbert Mikulich, the hometown hero, starting in 13th place with the familiar number 5 on his car. All Inkle Motorsport watching with bated breath, their cars 1st and 3rd on the grid. Ivan Muller for Lynk & Co, lying in 2nd position.
There's an Alfa Romeo coming to the pits, Martin.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was Marcin Kła or Kevin Chekon. Both had a little bit of a trouble time in qualifying. So 26 cars are on the grid. It's Ma in the pit lane, goes straight to the Mulsanne Racing Garage, and the bonnet is coming up. That's not going to get him any points today. Waiting for the green flag to wave at the tail of the field. And the last car on the grid, the green and grey of Zengo Motorsport. That's Tomasz Czenka from Hungary. The grid is complete. Race 1 at the Hungaroring is about to get underway. On pole position, Nesta Girolami. A good start from him. Very, very good start from Ivan Muller from the outside of the front row. He's going to have a good lunge down the inside. Little contact with Girolami, who gets the door closed very quickly. Muller and Aurelien Panis inside Esteban Guerrieri. Guerrieri's going the long way round. Down the inside, though, comes the number 11 car, Ted Björk, and he is alongside Jan Elesche. There is Aurelien Panis. This is the battle for 3rd place. We're on board with Esteban Guerrieri. Panis trying to hold on. He's got a Honda in one mirror who goes down the inside. Guerrieri unseats the Cupra driver, and through go 1, through go 2. Lynk & Co cars, no, they don't, because Elesche got through, but Ted Björk got shuffled out. Björk has got Jean Calverne alongside, and an Audi on the other side on the grass. That's Fredrik Vervisch. So the lead 4 or 5 cars have got through, and then behind them, everybody is next up.
Crucial for Guerrieri to keep that position. Tight run thing with Panis there, but that would ruin his race if he got stuck behind Aurelien in this opening laps.
Nesta Girolami, the race leader from Ivan Muller, long way round the outside into the chicane. Tyre stack is awaiting. Any ground that Thiago Montero made up there, he's going to have to give back. He's a little offline, battling with, was that Nicky Katzberg? No, it's Gabriele Tarquini. No, it was Nicky Katzberg farther back. And Montero gets nudged out wide. Now he's on the inside. His teammate Attila Tashi is inside him. Tashi comes through. There's Banani and Huff for what is around 12th, 13th position. Banani from 12th on the grid, Huff from 17th. So Huffy made a good start. He's behind Andy Prio, or they are both behind Andy Prio. Lots of action at the back of the field. Tom Coronel trying to make up ground as well. Goes around the outside there of Benny Leuchter in the Golf. So action all the way up and down the field.
Panis still under pressure at the end of this opening lap.
Nesta Girolami across the line from Ivan Muller by 0.6 of a second. And Muller is only 0.6 ahead of Esteban Guerrieri as well. So the top two breaking away, then the gaps are smaller. This is a massively packed field. Katzberg versus Tashi, and this is on page 2 of our timing screens. Katzberg 18th, Tashi 19th.
I have to say, Girolami made a very, very good start. We've seen in the opening rounds in Marrakesh how good the Lynk & Co's are off the line. He knew it was coming, but his positioning was perfect. He was aggressive enough just to stop Ivan and to show him he mean business, but without breaking any of the rules.
Yep. And he got the doors shut, and Guerrieri, as you said, really vital for him to wriggle back in front of Paris, going down the inside of the Frenchman's Cupra into turn 2. Not only got him back in front of Panis, but opened the door for Jan Erlaché. There he is in 4th place, ahead of his compatriot, who's in 5th spot. Jean-Carl Vernet, the best Audi, in 6th, ahead of teammate or brand mate Frederick Vervisch, run by different teams, hence the different colours. At the moment, though, Panis is looking like he's got more speed than the Lynk & Co car in front. He's got to be able to exploit it, though.
It's all about getting off the last turn, turn 14, onto the start-finish straight. That will be most people's best chance of overtaking.
Up into the final corners, you can have a stab as well up into the tight left-hander at turn 13, but it does require taking a driver by surprise. And he doesn't catch Erlaché by surprise this time. And the problem for Panis is that he's got the turquoise nose of Jean-Carl Vernet right behind his yellow Seat, his yellow Cupra. And if he has a lunge at Erlaché and it doesn't work, he's going to lose more places. But being a racing driver, he's going to want to have a lunge. He did not get well off the corner there. Erlaché got away from him, and Vernet may be closing on Aurélien Panis. Let's hear from Norbert Michelis.
The catalyzer is pushed completely up. From what I can see, it's still safe to drive, so keep going, keep an eye on the temperatures.
All right, so maybe a little bit of bumping and boring in the first lap or two has dinged the radiator. And obviously Norby's part of the conversation there was warning the team he's got something flashing on the dash.
And of course, as you pointed out, this little battle here with the Vernet and Vervisch. Of course, they're in the same car, but not the same team, so no quarter given between those two. And as you said, Panis had a horrible exit off turn 14, but luckily Vervisch has put Vernet under pressure into turn 1, and those two are developing a scrap nicely.
Well, despite their dropping back, actually Jean-Carl Vernet last time round set the fastest lap, which is why he was so close behind Aurélien Panis. But now he's got to deal with Frederick Vervisch. As you say, WRT for the turquoise car and Come To You Racing for the grey and black car. Notice all the Audis have got local flag colours on the wing end plates of their rear wings. Nice little touch. They had Moroccan flags, now they've got Hungarian flags, so that's clearly a theme that Audi Sport have decided on representing in pictorial colours where we're racing. Those guys have dropped back a little from Panis as they battle for 6th position, and they are the top Audis. Girolami for Honda, Muller for Lynk & Co, Guerrieri for Honda, and then Erlaché for Lynk & Co. Best of the rest is Aurélien Panis. There, the yellow car in 5th place, but he has latched right back onto the tail of Jan Erlaché again. And now this represents, as he comes up behind Erlaché, he's got to have more of a run on him down the straight. The problem for Erlaché, as for Muller, is that the blue cars do not have good top-end speed.
No, they certainly don't, and yeah, doesn't affect them too much around here, but it does make overtaking very difficult.
And it also means, like Andy Prio there in his car in 15th place, it's difficult to defend when the car behind you's got greater top-line speed. Niki Katzberg outbrakes himself, and Attila Tashi goes by in the background. There he is, Tashi on the inside. Katzberg can't quite hold the nose of the Hyundai where he wants it in turn 1, or at least couldn't that lap. So Tashi moves up, and that's him into 18th place, still 3 cars away from the points.
Yeah, considering he was close to winning a race at the opener before brake failure put him out of contention.
Looking back at Nicky Katzberg under pressure now from Benjamin Leuchter, who set the fastest first sector of the race in the number 33 Golf. Benny Leuchter is the test and development driver who's responsible for basically helping the designers work on this car. Ahead of him, Bernani 16th, Huff 17th. The only car in the points is Johan Kristoffersen for Volkswagen Motorsport, who's in 9th position. And there's Gordon Shedden. Flash struggling against Tom Coronel. Neither qualified well. That's a battle for 21st place. And neither of them will be particularly pleased to be down there.
No, Gordon Shedden, a 3-time British Touring Car champion. Tom Coronel, a multiple race winner at this level.
And Benny Leuchter, having just set the fastest first sector, being shown the black and white flag, which is the final warning on track limits. And you have to assume if he's gone purple in sector 1, he probably wholesale cut turn 4, which is out of bounds. Nestor Girolami covers off the inside as they come down the straight from Ivan Muller. He knows from the timing screens and the results, as we do. Whoa! And Panis has had a lunge at Air Lachey, and there's a chance for Jean-Carl Vernet. Vernet looking for 4th, he's got it. Who's going to be 5th? Air Lachey on the inside, and Panis is down to 6th, and he's got the other Audi, and that is Vervish inside him. So Air Lachey was 4th, and
I think he's got some broken
sideways.
suspension.
Yeah, that car's not going to make it round, is it? As the engineer's eye spotted that before it became evident to the TV viewer, which is me. Behind him, Ted Björk has to go wide, and Air Lachey finally gives up the battle. Panis behind, can't give up the battle. Vervish out very wide on the exit of turn 5, trying to get a slingshot to come down into the chicane. Can't get through past the Cupra. The net effect, though, was that Panis remains where he was in 5th, but it's no longer Air Lachey in front of him, it's now Vernet. So Vernet moved up 2, Panis remains stationary, Vervish moved up 1, because he's now in 6th, not in 7th. Ted Björk in 7th, not 8th. And Jan Air Lachey, well, it was Uncle Ivan who had something go wrong in the front end of the car in the final race in Marrakesh. Is it front or rear end of that car that's not playing?
Left rear. I think it's left rear, Martin.
On board with Thiago Montero. Down the inside comes Langeveld in the Audi, and Montero can't hold him off or hold his line. He drifts out wide in 11. Checon comes by in the Alfa. This is now the battle for 24th place.
Yeah, miserable weekend for Thiago so far.
Yeah.
Showed very, very good pace at the opening round in Marrakesh.
Yes, a real shame, because you would think perhaps this would play better for him. Frederick Vervish, what do you see? Oh, we didn't see that in hindsight. That was Mikel Ascona, who we heard from on the grid, getting tagged by Augusto Farfus.
It's Hagloff.
Oh, it is. So Hagloff was, you're right, he was in 12th, Ascona was in 11th. Yeah, Hagloff with the white stripes and Ascona with the orange. I should have spotted that. Nestor Girolami, the race leader from Ivan Muller and Esteban Guerrieri. Now, Ivan Muller's in the position that Ted Björk was in the final race, apart from the fact he's not leading, but one of the team's cars has had, was that contact, do you think, that broke the left rear suspension? Likely to be.
Yeah, I would say so.
But you'd have to hope that the team think, on the radio they'll report to you, yeah, we think it was contact. Because you don't want cars of your same mark dropping out behind you. Yeah, you can see behind the rear wheel and in front of it there's damage on the bodywork. Now, of course, if somebody's made contact there, it'll be with their wheel, so somebody else may have a problem waiting to take them by surprise.
It's what we were saying earlier there, Martin. You know, you just got to avoid these drop scores, these zeros. Yeah. I think that's really where the championship will be won and lost.
Well, when you start in the top 6, you expect to finish in the top 6, and for Jan Erlache, I'm afraid it will be a 0 to go to the one that Marcin Kła is going to add. And in fact, there's going to be at least 10 drivers. There will be 12 drivers who don't finish in the top 15 from our 27 starters. Black and white flag also being shown to car number 52, which is Gordon Shedden, because as if he hasn't got enough problems, he also can't keep the car within track limits.
Esteban definitely getting towards the hindquarters of Ivan Muller.
Yep.
I think if he can stay with him on this lap and get a good exit out of turn 14, he'll have to start thinking about getting past him, because Venet is very quick in a straight line and is definitely catching this group.
Well, one thing we know about Ivan Muller is that he's always a danger when he's behind you, and another thing we know about Ivan Muller is that it is not easy to pass him. He knows all the tricks, he's used them all many times before, so anything you can think up, he's already seen and will hopefully have anticipated for him hanging on in second place. But Daniel Hagloff, down in 12th, was pushed out of 9th by Augusto Farfus at the chicane. Undoubtedly, the stewards will look at that. Any contact that involves a place change does get examined. Whether or not they'll say, well, we've got to let them race, we'll have to wait and see. Let's hear from Ted Björk. He is in 7th place.
Track limit on Vervish. Track limit on Vervish. A couple of times.
Well, again, team radio talking through a goldfish bowl. He was talking about Vervish, but what did he say? Track limits for Frederick Vervish. Well, Vervish has just been given a black and white flag anyway, so Björk complaining to the teacher about it was a little too late. Frederick Vervish has the fastest race lap on the last tour. Whether that included going inside turn 4 or wide outside turn 11, not sure. Battle for second place, a long queue, headed by Ivan Muller, then Esteban Guerrieri, Jean-Carl Vernet, Aurélien Panis and Frederick Vervish. There's Gordon Shedden. Well, we talked about how Aurélien Panis could do with a really good weekend to give him some confidence and to catch a break. I think Flash definitely needs that as well. Another tough weekend for Gordon Shedden. He is out of the race, joining Marcin Kła and Jan Erlache on the sidelines. Not quite sure what Flash needs to do, Richard Coleman, to turn this around. He needs a break because his run of form is now not good for most of last season, almost all of last season, and it seems to be continuing in.
And his teammate doing a very, very good job, who lies 4th in this race and, you know, pressuring for a podium position. But one thing we haven't spoken about, Martin, is tyre wear. And this circuit definitely has one of the biggest sort of tyre wear factors that we go to, mainly just because there's so many constant radius corners and it's quite a long lap here. So the difference between a qualifying setup and a race setup is very, very different. So you can see these cars now starting to struggle to hold the line, and this now comes into how the cars have been set up over the 12-lap distance. And I have to say, you know, Girolami is starting to look a little bit looser. He's missing a few apexes. He's running on a little bit. Puffs of tyre smoke, just trying to get the nose of the car in. While Ivan looks quite pretty at the moment in terms of his car balance. So it'll be interesting to see if in the last sort of third of this race, whether that mixes anything up, really.
Yeah, and if you're looking for somebody with the experience to manage the tyres, then Ivan is well up there on the list, isn't he? Not to say that Néstor Girolamo and Esteban Guerrieri couldn't, but the more you've done it, the more straightforward it becomes, or the more instinctive it becomes. And this year's tyre, which has got a different construction to last, is harder to manage. Little contact there between Benny Leuchter and the Hyundai. And Leuchter and Katzberg coming to blows over 18th. Black and white flag for the 88 car of Katzberg. Well, in fairness, he didn't jump the chicane. He was helped. He was thrown through it. Oh, now you talked about how the tyres are starting to go away. Kevin Chicon there, all at 6s and 7s with a huge save under braking. And he's just now dropped behind Nils Langefeld and Thiago Montero. And, you know, one of the delights of this championship is, with all the various different machinery, how tight it is at the top. But it also means that even when you're out of the points, it's a tough battle for positions.
Certainly is, and just watching the race pace, the leaders, they're kind of sort of falling off about 3-4 tenths in lap time, which doesn't sound a lot, but in touring car terms, that is a reasonable amount, and that is as this tyre wear starts to set in.
Well, we're 3/4 of the way through. This is lap 9 of 12. No safety cars yet to add to the race distance. So Langefeld, Montero, who we ride with, and Chacon. And this is 21st, 22nd, 23rd. So final point being earned by Rob Huff, currently in 15th, just ahead of Attila Tashi. So 2 Volkswagens in the points. Huff is 15th. Johan Kristoffersen, whose name we've barely mentioned, is sort of a little bit all at sea on his own in 8th. He is half a second, 3/4 of a second behind Ted Björk, and about the same, to almost a full second ahead of Augusto Farfus.
Straight's just not quite long enough for Guerrieri to get that toe that he needs, but Ivan having to go defensive. That's the first time in this battle we've seen him have to move off his line to cover. Guerrieri's probably going to struggle to go around the outside of turn 2.
He's going to be brave and have a go, though.
But this puts Ivan under pressure. Of course, the big winners are also the cars sat there behind, waiting for something to go awry between these two. And of course, all of this lets our race leader Girolami off the hook.
Just a fraction.
Pulls out a nice little gap. He can't quite breathe, but that's certainly a lot more comfortable than it was.
Yeah.
You know, before, if he'd made any slight mistake, Ivan would have been up the inside of him. Whereas now, you know, one mistake, he's probably going to hold position. So just a car length or so does make a big difference. But I think realistically, the only place Guerrieri is going to have a safe chance of a pass is a lunge into turn 1, which means a great exit off turn 14, the last turn.
Well, you know, it's still very early in the season, and he would rather be second than third, but on the final lap, unless a golden opportunity falls into his lap, he's going to have to bear in mind that the points he will earn in this race will see him go to sleep tonight as the points leader over Ted Björk.
And I'd say if we were watching this with the positions reversed, I'd say almost certainly Ivan won't risk anything, but Esteban quite often in the past hasn't been that shy of inviting himself down the inside of somebody.
Well, like Lopez, he's you know, sometimes Lopez used to say, I'm a bit too Latin, and I think Esteban would probably hold his hand up to that as well occasionally.
Yeah, and you know, for our sakes, let's hope that he does.
Aurelian Panis in 5th position. What could perhaps have been a stab at a podium might yet be tomorrow as well. There's no questioning there is speed in the Cupras as there is in the Hondas. And Panis is having a proper racing weekend, I think really for the first time in his touring car career. Penultimate lap here of race 1 in Hungary. Nesta Girolami skates down into turn 2, but Ivan Muller in 2nd place in the Lincoln Co. 03 has shaken off his pursuer Esteban Guerrieri. 2 to go. And Muller is still thinking, as he always still thinks, about how he's going to win this race, not how he's going to hang on. He's free of the pursuers, and that means that if there's any chance of piling the pressure on Nesta Girolami to win this, then he will definitely do so.
Yeah, Esteban just dropped a bit too much time. He lost a good 8 tenths to Ivan there, so yeah, he's now out of the tow, can't slipstream on the straight, so almost certainly his chance of passing is gone. But Ivan pulled his finger out on that lap and closed the gap to under 4 tenths to Girolami, maybe having a line up for a little bit of a last lap look, but as I said, I don't think that Ivan will risk too much in the closing stages of this race.
In this queue, the man at the front is Mikel Ascona, the Spaniard in his Cupra. Right behind him and in front of us is Andy Priaulx in the 4th of the Lincoln Co. 03s. Ascona drifts a little wide. Priaulx having a look down the inside. Gabriele Tarquini right behind. If the door's half open, Tarquini's going to go through as well. There's a little bit of robust racing, rubbing racing. Look in his door mirror, look, you can see Ascona's still there, he's still there, and he gives back what he got. Tarquini denied him the line. There was a bit of a bump as Ascona wanted to come back on, but cross Gabriele Tarquini at your peril. Ask everybody, ask anybody. Ascona hung out to dry on the outside. Here comes Huff, and right behind him, Attila Tashi and Thiago Montero. So Ascona now in 15th at the line, the final point scorer. But Tashi has gone by him onto the last lap. So Tashi is in the points in the Hell Honda.
So just 6 world championships up the inside of Ascona in the space of 2.5 corners there, but he certainly wasn't shy.
Yeah. And Attila Tashi hangs on in front of Ascona, who's feeling the pressure. Back to our lead group. Ivan Muller has dropped away from Girolami, who's put in a final burst. On the last lap, Guerrieri is right there again. If Ivan puts a foot wrong, Esteban will go straight through without a second bidding. Ivan Muller in second place for Cyan Racing at the chicane, halfway through the lap. Still one danger point right towards the end of the lap. But Guerrieri is going to have to pull a real blinder to catch Ivan Muller by surprise. Nesta Girolami just about safe out front in terms of attack from behind, unless Ivan can find something up the hill. Honda, Lynk & Co, Honda, then Audi, then Cupra, then Audi, then Lynk & Co again. Ted Bjerg, who came here as the points leader, he's in 7th. Best Volkswagen, Johan Kristoffersson on his way to his first points of the season. Then in 9th place and 10th place, the top 2 Hyundais, Augusto Farfus and Norbert Michelisz. But the first race in Hungary, round 4 of the FIA WTCR 2019, will go to Nesta Girolami, his first race win since China 2017. In a Volvo, he beats Ivan Muller to the line. Esteban Guerrieri makes it a 1-3 for Munich Motorsport. That's really good points for them in the team's championship. Jean-Carl Vernet, the best Audi, in 4th. Aurelien Panis in 5th position, ahead of stablemate Frederick Vervisch in 6th. And they race all the way to the line. Attila Tashi, the Hungarian, did get the final point in 15th position. 19 years old. And in the points at home. Well, a little bit of a shake of the head from Norbert Michelisz, slightly anonymous if you're not a Hungarian fan, in 10th position. And at the tail of the field, Marcin Kwa, Gordon Shedden and Jan Erlaché. No points, and they will be hoping at least to turn their fortunes around on Sunday.
4 brands in the top 5.
Yeah.
Very, very competitive and close racing.
The all-Inkle team, Munich Motorsport, they have produced a good race weekend in Marrakesh, and that momentum keeps going here into Hungary. Nesta Girolami, first win in world-class touring cars in a season and a half. Ivan Muller, second place for Cyan Racing. And let's hear from Esteban Guerrieri.
Yes. Excellent, my friends. 1-3. Good job, Gary. Good job.
Yeah, it was a good job indeed by the Munich Motorsport guys. And Esteban Guerrieri, with 3rd place, is now our points leader from Ted Bjerg, with Nesta Girolami vaulting up to 3rd place. 11 points covering the top 3. Gabriele Tarquini in 4th, 23 points behind. Here's Ivan Muller.
Okay, Ivan, well done. P2. I know you want more. I also want more. We will get more in the future. Good job, very good job.
Thank you, mate. You did a good setup. You did a good choice. Well done. Boys, thank you. Good job.
Ivan Muller was on the radio vociferously complaining about Nesta Girolami closing the door on him on the run down to the first corner. From the view at camera 1 at turn 1, it didn't look like there was contact. Maybe Ivan felt that Nesta moved across a little abruptly. I'm sure he would have moved across much more smoothly had the positions been reversed. Start of car number 33 under investigation, and that is Benny Leuchter, who finished 22nd, so that's a slightly moot point. Also, the under investigation bit is a slightly moot point, because basically the electronics tell the stewards that the car moved before it was possible for a human to have reacted. So jump starts are never under investigation because of somebody reporting it by the human eye. It's because the telltale has told its tale. Nesta Girolami comes in to the finish area to claim the garlands for the race 1 win here in Hungary. Your race 1 winner, Nesta Girolami. Last time he tasted victory was at the wheel of a Volvo run by Cyan Racing. This time it's at the wheel of a Munich Motorsport Honda, and he beats a blue Cyan Racing car, Richard Coleman. The names above the doors may change, but the desire in the drivers doesn't. Witness these two teammates and Ivan Muller as well. You know, it doesn't matter how old the drivers are, the desire is still just as strong.
For sure, the 3 guys that are on this race podium, they're all going to feature strongly in the championship race. I think Ivan, obviously, he's always going to be there. You know, he's always a great talent, and you'd expect him to be in the top part of the championship fight. But you know, I think Girolami, Guerrieri, they're in a good car. It seems that they've addressed some of the weaknesses from last year. The team's grown up a little bit.
Yep.
You definitely see that they're going to feature strongly in this championship.
And one of the critical things for a team when you've got a good car like this is to eliminate any silly mistakes, you know, not having the tyres on the ground, the 5-minute board on the grid, and, you know, stuff like that. Not necessarily that they've committed those offences, but all teams do make little errors. And like the drivers, the fewer unforced errors you commit, then the more chance you give your guys. You know, you do everything in the debriefs and in the engineering setups and everything else, and in free practice and in qualifying. And if you then miscue with the rules, then you feel like you've let everybody down. And this time, again, they have produced a quick car, and they've got a good, comfortable driver lineup. These two Argentines have been race rivals for a while, but they seem to get on really well. They're very friendly, close neighbours, both live in Barcelona in Spain during the season. So it's a little team of two, these two guys. Well, our race winner, Nesta Girolami, is down in the pit lane with Alex Legui. Let's get his thoughts on his first win in 2 seasons.
And here is our winner of our first race of this weekend of the FIA World Touring Car Cup by Oscaro in Hungary. My goodness me, you were pushed hard at the start, but you managed to take it away from Ivan. And here you are, well done, what a great race.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to congratulate all the Link & Co team because they give me a fantastic car all over the weekend. I'm so happy. The start was just the moment now, you know. We knew that in the past, in Marrakesh, they did a good start, the blue cars, so we had to be really, really focused at that moment. And yeah, I think we did a really good start, the maximum that we can get, and we keep the position. So after that, we handled the situation. Congratulations also Ivan, he did a really good job, and also my teammate Esteban Guerrieri. We deserve it, so we will push hard for the next ones.
You're now P3 in the driver's standings, putting just 11 points behind leader.
Wow, I didn't know, thank you. This is so exciting for me. It's my first season in WTCR. This is my second race. I want to congratulate also Honda because it felt amazing just win in the second round of the season. Everything is new, so I had to adapt so quick. These guys are so experienced. Congratulations.
I give you too much advice in 2017. I shouldn't. Well done, mate.
Thank you. He's a fantastic guy. I mean, drivers like Ivan, Andy, Ted, you know, they have a lot of experience and they have raced like 5 or 6 or like 10 times here in Budapest, and I did only 2. So I have to adapt myself as fast as possible, but we handled the situation and we did it.
You certainly did. That first corner between really the top 5 of you, but certainly between you, Ivan and Esteban was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, it was really, really hard. I saw in my mirrors that Esteban was pushing to Ivan, so I tried to slow down a little bit to help my teammate, but it was close after the corner one, but he couldn't, but let's try tomorrow.
Well done, Bebu.
Vamos indeed. As Alex said, Bebu now just 11 points off the lead, held by his teammate. And in between them is our leader after Marrakesh, Ted Björk. So Nestor Girolami, Ivan Muller and Esteban Guerrieri are our top three. Jean-Carl Vernet, Aurelien Panis, Fredrik Vervish, top six. Two Swedes, Björk and Kristoffersson, in 7th and 8th, ahead of Augusto Farfus and Norbert Mikulic. Points go down through Daniel Hegloff, Andy Preo, Gabriele Tarquini, Rob Huff to Attila Tashi. And then the remaining finishers, Mehdi Benani, Mikel Ascona, Nicky Katsberg, Tom Coronel, Niels Langerfeldt. Little Dutch cluster there ahead of Thiago Monteiro, Benny Leutner, Kevin Chekon, Tomasz Tenka and Marcin Kwa, who did finish a lap down, but Gordon Shedden and Jan Erlechet both forced into retirement. Race one, day one, done and dusted in the Hungary ring, and a change at the top of the order. Esteban Guerrieri leads by 5 from Ted Björk, 11 from Nestor Girolami, and 23 from Gabriele Tarquini, 33 behind Jean-Carl Vernet and Fredrik Vervish, and Ivan Muller just behind them. More points on the board for a few of our drivers, and Aurelien Panis adding 11 points in race 1 to the 2 that he got from the entire Marrakesh weekend. He would have hoped, undoubtedly, after free practice and qualifying, to try and get onto the podium, but he has still got a quick car under him and the confidence of day one. I'm sure he will redouble his efforts on Sunday. So Sunday here in the Hungary ring will feature our 3-part qualifying, our top 5 shootout, and races 2 and 3. Everything still to play for here for the drivers of the WTCR. Second race weekend of the FIA WTCR at the Hungary ring outside the capital Budapest. From pole position, Nestor Girolami knew one thing. He had to shut the door in Ivan Muller to survive into turn 1, and so he did. Muller joked afterwards that 2 years ago in the Volvo team when they were teammates, Ivan taught him too well. Ivan then had to fight to hold on to second place against Aurelien Panis, Esteban Guerrieri and his own teammate Jan Erlechet down into turn 2 as everybody else jockeyed for position. Look at the Audi of Fredrik Vervish going down the inside and getting by Ted Björk as Jean-Carl Vernet went the long way around the outside. Contact between Katsberg and Hugfeldt dropped him, Hugloff dropped him down the order. Kevin Chekon ran out of brakes towards the end of the race in a frantic tail of the field battle. And despite all the attentions of the veteran 4-time World Touring Car champion Ivan Muller, Nestor Girolami held on in front. Gabriele Tarquini battled door handle to door handle with Mikel Ascona, but it was Nestor Girolami, Ivan Muller and Esteban Guerrieri who claimed the podium finishes 1-3 for All Inkle Munich Motorsport, and second place podium for Ivan Muller and the Lincoln Co. run by Cyan Racing. So Esteban Guerrieri ends day 1 in Hungary, day 4 of the season as our new points leader. And Richard Coleman, he and Nestor Girolami, they can come back tomorrow full of confidence. They've got a good car, a good setup, it's quick, they won't get any penalty weight or ballast, so they can come back tomorrow and do the same again.
Yeah, it's all about capitalising when you've got an advantage, and clearly this car really suits this circuit and they're ready to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium of our first race of the FIA World Touring Car Cup by Oscaro. Please welcome onto the podium in third position from allinkle.com Munich Motorsport, it's Esteban Guerrieri. And please welcome onto the podium from Cyan Racing Link & Co. In second position, it's Ivan Müller. And your winner from allinkle.com Munich Motorsport, it's Nestor Girolami. And representing allinkle.com Munich Motorsport is Samuel Kanka. And now the national anthem for both Nestor Girolami and allinkle.com Munich Motorsport. The President and CEO of the Hungaroring, Zsolt Gyulay, will present our third position trophy to allinkle.com Munich Motorsports, Esteban Guerrieri. The President of the Hungarian Autosport Federation, Zsáfas Ola, will present our second position trophy to Cyan Racing Link & Co.'s Ivan Müller. And the Commercial Director of Sepang International Circuit, Ms. Shamila Nadaraja, will present the winning driver trophy to allinkle.com Munich Motorsports, Nestor Girolami.
Bacio! Kiss!
And the President of the Hungarian Autosport Federation, Zsáfas Ola, will present our winning team trophy to Samuel Kanka of allinkle.com Munich Motorsport. Now, gents, please come together for your official photograph. Ready? Grab the bottles. Champagne.
Yeah, it's a mugs game, isn't it, being the representative of the team up on the podium. Not that you know about that, obviously, which you're being the boss.
No,
I'm sure they treated you with decorum.
You then have to go and find somebody else's T-shirt because you never bring your own, so...
So there are the podium finishers. Another big day for Munich Motorsport. For Esteban Guerrieri, the points lead. For Nestor Girolami, victory. And for Ivan Müller and Link & Co, his first podium of the season. So how does that change our team's standings? Well, wholesale jumbling of the order, but Allinkle now at the top with Cyan Racing Link & Co in second place. BRC Hyundai Squadra Corse in third, ahead of Leopard Racing Team Audi Sport. So changes with every race, I think we're going to find, particularly in the teams competition. However, if you're a Volkswagen representative, turn your eyes away right now. That does not make happy reading. So that's it for day one from the Hungaroring. We will be back on Sunday morning with qualifying, and then with our races. We'll be on air live with all the action. Join Richard Coleman, Alex Legui and me, Martin Haven, tomorrow as we come back with our qualifying. We'll start 5 minutes before the cars hit the track, 10 a.m. local, that's 0800 GMT. We'll see you there. Goodbye for now.
Super Cruise.